Once we've made that alpha-keto acid, after the transamination, moving the amine group out and off to the side so that it can be excreted, how do we finish out this carbon backbone digestion of our proteins? Depending on the R group, it can enter in the process in different parts. We can have pyruvate, we can have acetyl-CoA, or we can have a citric acid cycle intermediate. As you can see from the graphic here on the right, based off those R groups, there's a lot of different places in which it can interact. Again, not asking you to memorize this, just know that it can enter in the 3 places: at the end of glycolysis, during the link reaction, or in the citric acid cycle. So the 3 places where carbohydrates get broken down are the 3 places amino acids can also enter. So based off those R groups and the enzymes present, it can go into any one of these spots and then make the high energy electron carriers to ultimately form ATP. Now, where it does introduce into the citric acid cycle does limit how many high energy electron carriers that particular amino acid can form. So like these amino acids that are especially in that pyruvate or this acetyl-CoA portion, they're just like our carbohydrates. They are going to maximize the amount of high energy electron carrier formation as possible. But these ones that are entering in later, they will not produce as much high energy electron carriers as their others, so we don't get as much ATP as we would from some of the others. So that just kind of gives you an idea of where these 20 amino acids can start that final process of being catabolized into CO2 and transferring those electrons into the NADH or FADH2. Moral of the story is, once we've made this alpha-keto acid, essentially we have moved to the carbohydrate territory. We are going to go into the citric acid cycle, so we'll ultimately make it into the citric acid cycle of the mitochondria. Those are going to make our high energy electron carriers that are going to go to the electron transport chain and perform oxidative phosphorylation that makes the ATP. All stuff we have talked about before. But this is also why we did carbohydrates in depth with this catabolic processes, because then we can just rinse and repeat, rinse and repeat. Following those proteins. So we're going to eat and we're going to have those proteins. Those proteins are going to get denatured and hydrolyzed into those amino acids. Depending on what we need from those amino acids, we can undergo this protein synthesis to build muscle, to form enzymes, any of those functions, hemoglobin, myoglobin, all of that. So much. However, when we are undergoing starvation, we are going to cannibalize our own muscle tissue. So this is a starvation response. This is what I was talking about, that now we're going to take these amino acids and go through the catabolic processes of the citric acid cycle and making ATP. So these amino acids are ultimately, they're going to undergo transamination to remove the amine group. And then our alpha-keto acids will then get introduced to some point in the cell respiration process of the citric acid cycle into the electron transport chain, and ultimately making our ATP. But this is definitely a last resort. What makes this process different than our sugars at this point is just that removal of the nitrogen. Otherwise, the carbon backbone undergoes the same processes.